call the Board of City Commissioners meeting to order, December 15th, 2008. Call roll, please.
Stevens.
Here.
Sims.
Here.
Harrod.
Here.
Peterson.
Here.
Collier.
Here.
Holt.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Next is our invocation and flag salute, and our invocation will be given tonight by Leroy Curbo, and all who wish to, please rise.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you that we can come to you. We thank you because that you're such a good God and that you love us so very much. We thank you, Lord, for the blessings that you give to us in this city. We thank you, Lord, for your help and your strength and your understanding. And Lord, we pray that you will touch each one today. And dear Lord, that things will be done the way that you would have it done. Lord, that this city will continue to progress and do great things for the people that live in and around it and in this nation. I just pray, God, today that you would give each one here a very Merry Christmas. And Lord, that you would bless them during this season. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Attention, position, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Reverend Curbo. Okay, item number 1, consider approval of agenda. Somebody want to move anything?
I'll move.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Harrod and a second by Commissioner Sims. Call roll, please.
Harrod.
Aye.
Sims.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Collier.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carried. Thank you. Number 2, consider approval of consent agenda. Anybody have anything they want to pull?
I like to pull F. I need a question answered there.
Okay. Item F. Okay. F, G, and H. Okay. Any other ones? Motion to approve the balance.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Holt,
Second.
second by Commissioner Collier. Call roll, please.
Holt.
Aye.
Collier.
Aye.
Stevens. Aye. Sims.
Aye.
Harrod.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item F.
What I need is just a clarification, and I've talked to Rex about that, on that.
Yes, sir.
The part of our agenda here is missing the form where we transfer money, and I think it was just, you can explain it.
Yeah, on page 33, the memo explains where the money, the extra $590 is going to come from, and that's basically going to be a transfer from one capital line item to this one. And I did not put that paperwork in there. I guess we'll have to have that at the next meeting, or does it have to be a transfer?
I think I told him not to worry about it.
Well, there you go.
I'll handle it.
Cool. With that, I make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion to approve item F by Commissioner Holt,
Second.
second by Commissioner Harrod. Any other discussion or questions? Call roll, please.
Holt.
Aye.
Harrod.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Collier.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Sims.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item G. And H too. Do you get both of these?
Okay. First of all, I apologize for not having this information in your package. I handed it out. It should be in front of you.
Right here.
This
Okay.
memo. Just to give you a little history, the airport's on a 3-year capital improvement plan through the FAA. And it started out, when I started in this position, we were going to have this fiscal year, we were going to have an engineering study for the parallel taxiway. Next year, we were going to let the contractor construct the parallel taxiway and then do the construction plans for the runway improvements. And then the following year, 2011, we were going to construct the runway. Well, the OAC and the FAA got together, and first of all, they changed it to combine the design of the taxiway and the runway together, and this year do a grant for design only for that project.
For both of them?
For both of them.
Okay.
And that's what we, our engineer and the city engineer were in fierce negotiations about the price for that. And during that time, as early as last week, the OAC got a call from the FAA that the stimulus package, the economic stimulus package that's going to occur next year, they needed projects from the OAC that they felt could be done in a hurry. In other words, be bid out for construction in the spring. And what they did, they identified the runway project, which was supposed to be done in 2011, said that could be done this year, that the plans could be done and all that. So, John Krywicki and the engineer then had to negotiate the fees for that separately from what they were negotiating before. And this was last week after the agenda meeting. That's why this wasn't in your package. Okay. So, we got to the point. I'm
So
sorry.
are we moving the runway ahead of the taxiway?
Yes.
Okay, got it. I'm with you still.
Okay. So in your memo that's in front of you, the first portion of it for amendment number 6, that's the that shows the design fees, the negotiated fees for the runway improvement project. And if you'll look at the next to the last page of what I handed out to you, that is what the Oklahoma Aeronautics Commission turned into the FAA for approval for the stimulus plan. Okay, and so the project total is $3,263,100 and change. So the fees, the $265,000 plus the other for construction testing are included in that number. So, and then breaking out then the rest of the design fees are in number 7, amendment number 7, which is a total of $240,000 in design fees. And the last sheet of your package indicates what that's for a $5 million, almost $6 million project.
You're talking about FY 2009, 10, 11, and then that total over 5.9 million.
Right. And now for this fiscal year, the runway rehabilitation project is going to occur, assuming that package goes through.
So what is our part of this now?
Our part is basically 2.5% of that. It's a 10% or 90% grant from the FAA or the stimulus package. 95%, excuse me, and then the OAC will pay 2.5%. We pay 2.5%. And in your memo for the first part, our just for the design fees is $6,735.
So is sponsor our funding
Yes.
responsibility?
Yes. And I need to add on that. Our sponsor, they show $163,158, but our responsibility is half of that. And next commission meeting, I will try to have some financing options for that, for the commission to act on.
Okay, so who's paying the other half?
The OAC.
Okay. And of the $6,700 that you want to spend, that's part of our half of the 163.
Yes. Yes. And these design fees were already budgeted for in this fiscal year's budget. And the line item is taxiway design, I believe.
The 6,700.
Yeah, parallel taxiway
something.
construction plans, yes.
Okay.
We already have money in the budget for both of these design projects.
So basically, you're asking for approval to continue, to move forward with design so that we can make application as a project that could be funded under the stimulus package.
Correct.
Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay, so all we're really, going for at this point is the $6,700 for the design. Understanding that what the whole package is the second to the last page and the last page.
Yes.
Okay.
What's our obligation if this stimulus package doesn't go through? Will be our obligation?
As I understand it, and our engineer, LBR's president, is here to answer some of these questions, but if it doesn't go through, then that design work would go back into the design-only grant for the entire project.
Okay.
So we would still only be paying 2.5%.
Okay.
Is that correct? Clear as mud?
I move we approve items G and H.
Okay, motion to approve by Commissioner Sims,
Second.
second by Commissioner Holt. Any other questions or any discussion? Call roll, please. Go ahead.
Is there any way you have any idea what's this inspection, either John, either one, what that's gonna run? That inspection fee, how many hours or anything?
Duration of construction,
Depending on what?
duration of construction, the project itself,
Okay.
get further along.
Is that totally on us?
No, we're still paying 2.5%.
Okay. Last call. Anything else? Okay. Call roll, please.
Sims,
Aye.
Holt,
Aye.
Stevens,
Aye.
Harrod,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Collier.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are down to item 3, citizens' participation. Anyone have anything they want to share with us? Come forward to the podium and sign in on the sheet there and tell us your name.
Mayor, Commissioners, my name is Mike Blackstone, and as a resident of Ward 5, I'm here to recommend to this board Chris Sylvia for the position of Ward 5 Commissioner. I have known Chris to be an honest, hard-working individual, dedicated to completing whatever task is set before him. He has always made himself available to his church, friends, family, and this community. I believe he'll be an asset not only to Ward 5, but to all of Shawnee as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Item number 4, interim city manager's presentation to employee of the month, David Tyler of the Street Department.
I don't know how many of you know David. I don't know him that well. I know he's a big guy. But I'm going to tell you a little bit more about him. David was born in Holly Grove, Arkansas, and moved from Colorado to Shawnee in 1999. He became an employee of the city of Shawnee in 2001. David was promoted to supervisor in October of 2007, and he plans to stay with the city until he retires. Once you put that in writing. He plans to, David enjoys walking at the airport and playing with his pit bulldogs. He is humorous, gets along well with his coworkers. He has 3 daughters and 8 grandchildren. 1 daughter lives in Shawnee and his other daughters live in Indiana. David thinks Shawnee is a great place to live and play with his grandchildren, and he is active in his church and in the community. I'd like to give you the award and your certificate. Would you like to say anything?
Yeah. Well, first I would like to thank God for this opportunity to be here. And I would also like to thank the entire city of Shawnee for the opportunity to work for him. would also like to thank my supervisor, Mr. John Krywicki, and also the entire Public Works. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Item number 5, consider conducting interviews with applicants for Ward 5 Commission seat. A, Matthew LaHue, B, Chris Sylvia, C, John Winteringer.
So how we going? What's the rules?
Do we have to have a motion to conduct the interview? It says consider, okay. Yes, first of all, I mean, from all of us up here, I mean, from what I've heard, I want to thank the 3 applicants for applying. That we really appreciate it. It makes our job tougher that we have 3 very well qualified and interested applicants, and we do thank you for that, regardless of what the immediate end result of tonight is. But again, we would like to encourage you to stay involved regardless of what tonight's results are, because we have a lot of things going on in the city and we need your help. We need everyone's help. I would like to maybe just recommend that we ask them to come up one at a time and, you know, tell us something about themselves and why they're interested. And at that time, I mean, when they're finished, if we want to ask them any questions, then we'll go that way and we'll just do it one at a time. Is that okay? Are you okay with that? Okay. So we'll give you your chance up here at the podium. You can come up here and tell us something about yourself or anything else that you might want to tell us that you think we may not ask, and then allow us to ask you questions. And we'll just start the way it's listed, which I think is the way the applications went too. So first we'll start with Matthew LaHue.
Good evening. My name is Matthew LaHue, and I am a resident of Ward 5, and I have applied for the position of the open Ward 5 Commission seat. That's obviously why we're here today. Tell you a little bit about myself. I am a lifelong resident of Shawnee. I've lived here 30 years, second generation, city of Shawnee. My father was born here, and my grandparents were not born here, but they came here and stayed. I think Shawnee's a great place. That's why I've stayed here as long as I have. I got involved in the politics of Shawnee earlier this summer when I ran for the position of mayor, and I did not make the runoff, but I did meet a lot of great people. I met a lot of people that told me many things that they thought the city should look at, and I kind of agreed with them. We elected Mrs. Peterson as our mayor, and I think she's doing a great job so far, and I think she'll continue to do that. And I look at the commission today, and one of my reasons for getting involved in politics in this town was that I saw a lack of excitement. It just seemed like things drug on over and over and over again, and I wanted to see that change. And I think we've seen that change. I was here at the meeting last week, and the commission seems to be moving together like I hoped it would. I am a teacher at Shawnee High School. I teach American history and I teach American government. So part of the excitement for me is that I could actually be on the other side of it, be involved in the process a little bit different from teaching it, and there's a lot of excitement there. Also the fact that I'm involved with so many younger students, meaning 15 to 19 years of age, there's a lot of input that I can get from people that don't normally get their voices heard. And I think that's a major issue in this city with a younger population as we look at the demographics. And as we move forward, I would like to see those people in that age group get more involved in city politics so that we can leave it off to the next generation in the next 20 to 30 years, and we can leave it better for them than we have it. I appreciate that. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Go ahead.
First of all, we'll say thank you for applying for this position. In your resume you sent in, you said in here that I'm applying for the position we wanted to see the city commission move forward, and that you felt like this city was facing some many tasks.
Right.
Can you give me 3 that you feel like are the top priority for you, and how you would address them now and in the future if you're appointed to the commission?
One issue that's always top Shawnee politics is infrastructure. And for me, our first catching visitors as they come into the city, the first thing that they noticed is number one, how bad our streets are. And that's one of the major issues that I'd like to tackle. Now, I realize that in this time of economic strife and problems, that's going to be tough. One of the major issues is Kickapoo Street. We've moved forward with that project. We've saved close to $4 million, and I think that's a great start. The state is going to come in and start that rebuilding process very soon. So infrastructure, streets, and of course drainage and water, and that issue is all together for me. The second issue that I see is a major issue personally, and also from what people have told me, is the quality of life. We've done a lot of good things with the trails projects. We've got a master trails plan that we're working on, that you guys are working on at the moment. And I think that we need to continue on with that, especially with the park that we're wanting to put together. And again, I realize that's the money issue is always going to be a top priority. The third issue is going to have to be the water issue. We talked about it a lot in the campaign. Tonight on the agenda is the issue with Tecumseh to agree on the West Watkins Reservoir, and that's been a very, very long time coming. You know, here we are 18 years past. So that's the third major issue. Then we've got to look at the Twin Lakes, how we want to deal with that in the future. The fact that Lake number 1 was built in, I believe, 32, 33, so it's ending the end of its lifespan. We've got to figure out a lot of things. It comes down to money. For me to address these issues, one, you know, the lake obviously is very, very important to us, and it's going to take money. We've got to figure out a way for the future to pay for these issues. Street projects, we've done, I think the Commission's done a very good job allocating money where it needs to go, saving money where we need to spend it, and I think that to figure out where that money is going to come from, especially since our tax revenues are not quite on target at this point because of the recession and all these. I'm sorry, there's not a recession.
Don't say that word.
There we go. Because of all these different issues, it's going to be tough. And I think by getting as many people possible involved, we can look at alternative ways of either funding these issues or bringing more people to the table so that we can look at alternative ways to get these things done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I piggyback on that real quick and
Yes,
just
ma'am.
ask, do you see yourself fitting in on any of these priorities, or are any of these priorities a passion for you? Is there something that you really want to work on?
My personal feeling, I am a teacher and I am a coach. I coach football and I coach soccer, and I've always loved soccer. And I know growing up in Shawnee, we only had Y ball, Y soccer, which is a great program, but for competitive at the high school level, competitive soccer is pretty tough to come by. Most of those kids will travel to Norman or Edmond or North Oklahoma City or places like that. I think the regional park, for me, is a passion just for the fact that I know the number of kids that we can get involved. We're talking over, you know, the span of 1 year, we can bring in thousands of young men and women, and we can hold tournaments and this and that. So we can look at it from a tourism standpoint, we can look at it from an economic standpoint, but more than anything, just getting kids involved. And I think I had a discussion with Police Chief France the other day, and one of the issues was we looked at our truancy rates and this and that. And I think if we get more kids involved in the city, we'll see less crime from younger kids, we'll see less truancy, and for me, my personal biggest issue is the regional park. From an economic standpoint, it's got to be streets, for the fact that and water distribution and those types of deals, just for the fact that it's important for the long-term success of the city. I hope that answered your question.
Well, and to kind of piggyback on that, just
Yes, ma'am.
because of your teaching experience, and there are some of us who have younger children, what do you what is the viewpoint you think you can bring to the table in regards to the children of Shawnee?
Well, it's interesting. As I was sitting in class yesterday or Friday, it's finals time, by the way. So if you didn't know
I
that,
know
just
that,
making
and
sure.
I'm sitting in the back that
Exactly,
should
I
be
noticed.
studying. But that's okay.
Yes. Well, he should be paying attention.
He
It's all
is paying
government.
attention. He loves this.
But one of the issues that came up from one of my students was, how come we don't have this, or how come Norman does this, or how come, a lot of it came down to, well, this isn't fair, and they're taking my rights away. Well, I had to go through the whole thing. You don't have any rights yet, and we'll explain why. And,
I like it.
well, just send them to school, and they'll have a great time. Yeah, we can search your locker whenever you feel like. But what it comes down to is the fact that I'm around these kids. I've got 115 students, and I coach another 150. That's 400 kids that I'm around pretty much every day. And then the hallways, everybody sees me, this and that. You'd be amazed at how many 17 and 18-year-old kids will come up to you, even on the street. I was downtown on Saturday. I went down to Hamburger King, and I was coming out, and one of my former students came out and said, hey, how come I see this happening? Why don't we do something like this? And it's the fact that they see me as a little bit more approachable. And not that you folks aren't, it's just that they see and they go, ooh, authority. So,
Okay, so
there's
in
the issue
turn,
there.
what do you think are their concerns?
A lot of the concerns are the fact that as these kids graduate, what they've told me is that there's nothing here for them. That was one of the deals that I tried to push early on. Is we had two great universities. We graduate around 2,000 kids a year from the university level, and there's nothing to keep them here. And we need to look at that. If we can catch them in middle school, talk up the city, talk about the exciting things that we have and we can do with those kids and with those young adults, maybe we can keep those kids there, bring more jobs, bring more taxes, bring more everything. And it all kind of snowballs together down the road. Thank you.
Anybody else?
As being a full-time teacher and a coach, then is there going to be a problem with taking off or missing some time?
No, we get state mandated days that we can take off. Our district is good enough that gives us a couple of extra. I build up a lot of years every year. I built up a lot of years. I built up a lot of days. And plus, there's a little bit of flex time towards the end of the day for me. So that type of deal isn't an issue. And plus the fact that I get to schedule a lot of my sports. So I get to schedule pretty much whenever I feel like. And there's also, my first responsibility would be to the city and the commission. And that's the way I look at it. This is an important position, and we're looking out for the future of our kids. Also the future of the city and where we want to go. And I would look at that first, and everything else other than my teaching duties, which at a professional level is first, and plus kids, I just love them anyways. But with the athletics, that's something that I can work around. I have a very flexible schedule with that. Thank you.
From a budget standpoint, while
Yes,
we
ma'am.
don't actually develop the budget, we are responsible
Correct.
for the expenditures and the management of it. So how comfortable are you shouldering that responsibility of, the financial health of the city
Right.
and the expenditures of $25 to $30 million?
As with any other governmental agency, I work for a public school system. I worked for 3. I know the red tape. I know the bureaucracy. The city's probably just about that much easier to work with because you guys get to decide. It's made up by the department heads, and you oversee it. I am a fiscal conservative. I think that every penny should be accounted for. I think every dime that's spent should be for the greater good of the city. We have to be very careful about what we spend it on, and we also need to look to the future. It's not, we have $27 million this year, let's do this. We need to look to the future. We need to develop a long-range plan, which we've done so far. We need to continue on with that, and we have to look at the future and compete with other cities. Norman is in the top 10 in the nation, the way they've developed their mayor, their commission, their city council. They have a council, I believe. Their department heads have put everything together, and I would love to brainstorm with other cities and see what they've done and move us forward that way. We're in a position that we're 35 miles from Oklahoma City. People are moving east. People are moving west to Mustang and Yukon. We need to figure out a way to capture those people, and we want to have a fiscally sound city so that when people come here, they go, this is on the right track. This is where I want to make my life. This is where I want to build my business.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything you want to ask Billy? You sure? Do you, Frank? Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much.
I appreciate you giving me this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we'll have Chris Sylvia.
Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, and staff, thank you for the time to do these interviews tonight. I know you have a busy agenda. I'm excited to be part of this opportunity for the future of this wonderful city, and I'm grateful to you for your service on the Board of Commissioners and the betterment of the city as a whole. As stated in my application and resume, I currently serve on the Board of Trustees at Wesley United Methodist Church. And in the past 2 years that I've had that privilege, I feel like it has better enabled me, combined with my previous experience, to make decisions that would work well with this position. I feel like the commissioner position is very much in line with that of a trustee. Trustees' responsibilities are, one, to make decisions that represent the congregation as well as to protect the church's assets, and that seems to be quite in line with what's going on here. So commissioners have to relate to the citizens and the city as a whole, and it is a balance of having good communication skills, a high level of integrity, as well as effectively gathering information to make decisions that are well informed to move forward. I've taken the opportunity over the last couple of weeks to review numerous of the past commission meetings minutes and some of the archived videos that correspond to those. And in doing this, I feel my decision to apply for the seat is well founded. I feel like my competency level in several categories like integrity, personal accountability, leadership, and communication all combined exceed the levels expected for the position. I'm confident that my skills, experience, desire, and passion to make positive impacts with all things that I do shine when I'm given the opportunity. Some of my principal accountabilities in the past were to recruit, train, develop, retain top-performing associates to meet goals that were set forth, as well as to conduct performance appraisals to help make sure that those goals are getting met, make sure proper feedback is given, and identify any developmental opportunities that exist there. I believe these skills would also be important. As you know now, you have hiring concerns on your shoulders and that sort of thing. So one of the common elements to successful leaders is surrounding themselves with the right people, and I feel that I can be the leader that this ward needs, as well as the right person to complete this well-diversified council for the entire city. I've been blessed with many things in my life, and some of the best have come from serving others, and I think the good Lord works within all of us if we are open enough to let Him, and we are quiet enough to listen to Him. In 1994, a fellow co-worker of mine in my hometown of Massachusetts came to Shawnee, all the way from Massachusetts to Shawnee to train at a seminar. He brought back a single copy of the Shawnee News Star with him, and that paper gained my attention. It's kind of interesting, but that newspaper brought me here, and within just a few weeks I rode on a Greyhound bus all the way to Shawnee, and I toured the city for a week, and I came back. I went home, I found a place to rent, I went home, had no job, no family here. I went home, packed all my belongings in a truck, in a very short time I was living here. Little did I know what that would bring me. And in a very short time, I met a good friend of mine, turned out to be a good friend, Buford Y, and spent 3 years working next to my new friend in one of his stores. And in a short time, I also met the woman that would become my wife and my best friend. So I was blessed early on moving into Shawnee. When the time came for me to make a career change, and the decision was based on gaining more experience, increasing business knowledge, I took a position that I found available in Oklahoma City with a company named American Homestar Corporation. I went into that company as a sales associate. I became the sales manager in a few months' time, and then business manager as well. When I became business manager, I started taking all the loan processing on and that sort of thing. In closing one of the home loans, and I was a state licensed insurance agent at the time, I was working with an individual that recruited me into the company that he was working for, Hellsberg Diamonds. And I became a sales associate with them, and in a short time, store manager, and participated in and facilitated one of the most exciting and in-depth comprehensive training programs I've ever experienced. Even with this success, I knew that my career had to return to Shawnee. So I talked my brother into moving to Oklahoma, and we purchased 4 car washes together and ran those businesses successfully for several years. And when I was able to, I sent that Yankee back home where he came from, and we sold that business. He didn't like it here near as much as I did, I'll just say it that way. I give unselfishly of myself through gifts, presence, talents at my church, local mission activities and such. I come before you tonight not to boastfully say that I'm the best person for the position. I don't know that. I know where I stand, and I just simply ask, am I the leader, the citizen, and the servant that this wonderful city needs to fill this vacant seat? Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Do I have any questions?
Well, I asked him a while ago, and we have a lot of tasks facing Shawnee. I've only been on the commission just a little over a year. Seems like when we get one, 2 takes its place. So, having said that, can you list what your top 3 priorities would be, and how you would approach them now and in the future if you were selected as the Ward 5 Commissioner?
Mr. Holt, pleased to answer your question as best as possible, and I would have to say I'll have to try and narrow it down as to what the 3 would be. I've been familiarizing myself with the agendas that have, in the meetings that have passed. I can think of 3 things, like the railroad issues that I've seen on there, and I would definitely think that is got to be a priority for us, and that we make proper decisions. Not only working with, I read like ODOT has an opinion as to what should happen, and I know that businesses here in town, whether it be mobile or TDK or another business that needs the railroad facility to operate and ship products that they make rapidly, I'm sure it would be very important to them, as well as maybe we add commuter rail stuff to that too. I'm not sure how that's all going to come out in the long haul. As to how I would relate to that, or specifically answer how that would be a priority for me, I know that there would be a strong importance there that we make a good decision. I don't have an agenda as to say this is the right way, this is the way we should be doing it, this over here is wrong, or something that's been done already. It would be more of, let's investigate it and find out what can be done. I think the context that we would need should be right here in town. We have certainly facility managers that can answer the questions as to what they're needing at their facility for rail service, and we should investigate that if that hasn't been done already, or maybe it has. So, you know, that being that would be one of them that I've looked up. I saw that on those agenda meetings that the Shawnee pool is having some issues, I guess, with the drains, and there was a vote taken to, I think, go with Plan B, which was spending what seemed to be a huge amount of money that is probably not a huge amount of money when you look at the task at hand. That would be a huge thing to take on. To change any of those drains or the pool in general would be extremely expensive. So again, I don't know exactly. I didn't state that I had certain things that I was interested in. I'm just looking at what you all have to deal with. So coming in right off the top, I wouldn't say that, you know, certain priority exists, but.
Is there anything particular that you would like to work on, or that you have seen in any of the agenda items that kind of piqued an interest for you?
Let me get some of my agenda meeting notes out, since you're asking that, since I brought them in case. And guess I should have tabbed them in case I needed them.
It's okay. Maybe a better question is,
Yeah.
is there a certain population that you touch, or that you feel like you have insight into, be it in Ward 5 or anywhere else in town, that you would have their ears, or maybe you could be their voice and bring something forward? And I don't know if that's you know, other groups that you are involved with, or at your church, or co-workers, but just, you know, who do you touch out there? Maybe that's what I want to know too, and what
Sure.
their concerns are.
I do have a lot of contacts in town. As I say, I've been here since 1994, maybe not as long as some of the others, but I actually have a fairly large circle of friends and hopefully influence. And as I mentioned earlier, a friend that I made early on, and I think some man that has respect for me is Buford White. Just numerous contacts like that. I guess I shouldn't mention names of people that are maybe in the audience, but just contacts at the local, like mobile plant or something, managers out there. I actually worked a small stint out there, so I'm familiar with that location, but I have a close contact to a management person out there. But definitely within the church and other businesses that I've been close to, whether it's you know, small stores like Sherwin-Williams, or you know, other things like that. I would say the group of people that I participate with on local missions and things, both through our church and combined with other churches, I'm typically around groups of either gentlemen or other people that give of themselves unselfishly. And I actually have been fairly successful, I think, in my own right, in bridging the age differences and getting a lot of older participants to work with me within the church, and try and look to see. I think I'm at an age or something that maybe they say, okay, he's old enough maybe to to relate to some things, and I guess young enough to have different ideas other than their own, so they kind of accept me.
And in the beginning, you talked about trust, integrity and trust. So and one of the things that is always real important to us is that we have the trust of the citizens that we represent, so that they know that we have their betterment in mind too as we make decisions. And some of them are very tough, and some of them are very personal to the citizens. So
Sure.
How do you bring that trust up here too, and how do you ensure that you save that and that you don't ruin the trust that we've already begun to build?
Excellent. Integrity is definitely a thing that at its highest competency, when you have high integrity, you're not only does that mean your word is at something that someone can count on when you say it, that you mean it. It's actually doing the right thing when it's easier to do something else. And when we talk about gaining the trust and keeping that trust, it's very important, and it is something that I've had great success in doing, because I don't see it any other way. I don't believe that there's any reason that I should do something outside of what's either best and not best by my realm, but what's best or what's outlined by a company's standards. If it's outlined either by the city or the commission or the company I'm working for, that's the rules that should be followed.
Thank you.
Chris, I know we're a pretty diverse group of people up here. And first of all, I'm going to say you and your wife are not going to make us line dance like you did with the kids at Logos, right?
That's right.
Okay. Now, other than
We don't wanna
your
broadcast
abilities
that.
to teach line dancing to children, because we are such a diverse group, what do you think you would bring to this table? Maybe what asset that's not already being met?
That's great. And that's what when I mentioned the diverse council that already exists, I think it's key to have that diversity. And being my background primarily growing up was in sales and customer service, and in more recent years it's been in management and focus on personal accountability. When you're self-employed, as I am and have been for numerous years, you have to have a level of success that you can sustain from, and to have that happen, you have to achieve the necessary requirements. And when I bring what I would bring to this commission in that diversity would be just a fresh, I guess, spin on management issues just as a whole, whether it's to help with the recruiting of the next city manager from the abilities that I have and the training that I have in that field, to retaining top performing associates. I love to see what happened tonight with awarding that gentleman with the Citizen of the Month program. So that's value. And those types of things, along with not saying that someone else doesn't have personal accountability levels at a very high point, but I take what I do seriously. And when this position opened up, I actually wasn't aware that it was going to be opening up, and I should have been, because I knew that Mrs. Peterson had been awarded the mayor position, so I should have thought, well, her seat's going to come open, and it wasn't until someone called me and recommended that I should go for that I thought about it. And without having any personal agenda or anything else, it's strictly to do a great job, and that's what I try and do with anything that I do. Just put my heart and soul into it.
Great.
one point I'd make, Chris, is when anytime you serve on the trustees, that's a responsibility, of its own, be responsible for a church and the church activity. So, I mean, only people with high integrity and so forth are selected for that position. So, kind of make a clarification on those of you not connected, haven't been connected with the Methodist Church. There's one question I have, and I talked about this. We came up to re-election time. I didn't ask Matthew this because he's already filed. He knows what's in store when you put your name on the dotted line. So if it comes up to election time, it might be too early to answer this question. Would you be willing to put your name on the line and run for the office?
Sure. I have a very simple answer for that, and I hate to be political and say you can't say yes or no. My answer simply would be yes, it would be a great possibility that I would do that. And when I say possibility, if I'm not the person to be appointed to this seat, and one of the other applicants gets that, obviously, if as looking at what they do in the position with a greater awareness of what's going on now and knowing that that seat is going to possibly come up for election in the near future, I'll probably be keeping a lot closer eye on it if I'm not put in there. And I would definitely say that if that person is doing the job as well as I think I would do it, or even better, I would have no need to run for the position. However,
I mean, if you were selected,
if I was selected, I would at this point assume that I would want to run for re-election, of course, because if I already know basically through the, as you mentioned on trustees, basically what you're all faced with on a day-to-day basis, and I ran into probably the same obstacles that you do day to day. So I already know what the job encompasses, and it would just be, as long as the committee is working together as one and moving forward, I'd continue to be part of it, absolutely.
Then as far as the fiscal management or responsibility, are you comfortable with the management of a $25 to $30 million budget?
It is a little larger than my household budget, thankfully, and it is larger than the church budget that I deal with, but I do have to work within the parameters of both of those budgets, and you're ultimately just talking more zeros or other numbers behind the first numbers. So as far as that, the fear of that budget doesn't bother me at all. It's working through the issues and making sure that we're making good long-term business decisions for the city. Back in Massachusetts, I was a vault manager for Wells Fargo Armored Service, and I balanced $50 million in cash and checks every day. So dollars don't scare me. Making good decisions that I can go home and sleep at night is what I focus on.
Anybody have any questions? Questions? Okay. Thank you very much.
Chris.
Thank you.
Okay. John Winteringer.
Hi, Mayor. Hi, Commissioners. It's a pleasure for me to be here tonight. I'm honored that I turned my application in, and just to tell you a little bit about myself, I have grown up here in Shawnee. My mother and father still live here in Shawnee. My grandfather and his wife, LaVon, lived here in Shawnee. We have a business here in town called Sonic, and I've been involved with that for about 13 years, for about as long as my dad can put up with me. So that's a joke. I'm sorry.
That was really not.
And the reason that I'm applying for the job is I think that I have some business experience that I think I could help with the city of Shawnee business. I know a lot of citizens in Shawnee. I think that's a plus for me. I can visit with citizens. I know, I see them on a daily basis. I love Shawnee. Shawnee's grown a lot since my years of being here. It's grown more than I ever thought it would. And I'm proud of Shawnee, and I just think I have the experience that I could be a team player and work well with the commissioners and the citizens. And I would be happy to take any questions that anybody would have.
I have about two. We have several committees, and I wanted to ask these to the other two, and one of them answered it for me. We have committees that meet in the afternoons. Several meet at night, but we have some that meet in the afternoon. If by chance you were asked to join one of those committees, would you have a problem with getting off to take care of them as early as 1:30 in the afternoon? We have planning commission meetings at 1:30. We have a lot of things that goes on in the afternoon. Would you have a problem of any kind to making something like that?
No, sir. My schedule is flexible. I have time, and that's why I also applied, because I think it would take time, and I would want to make time to not halfway do the job. I would like to be fully dedicated as I can. We have good people in positions at our drive-ins and at our stores, and my time is flexible. And I think we even have a bench that we can work off of if something goes wrong at the stores. So yes, sir, I have time to serve.
Okay, and the other question is part 3. That's the other two. There are a lot of tasks facing this commission. We worked on them in the past. We're going to work on them in the future. And I'd like to know your thoughts about how you could approach 3 of these tasks that you'd be able to take it on if you're selected.
Well, I think number one is hiring the right city commission, or the right city manager, excuse me, and somebody that will stay long term. We need to do some background checks on the person. We need to know all that we possibly can about the person before hiring this person. It's a huge deal, because once we get them in here, we don't need turnover. We need to continue the right path to keep the person in place. I've hired good people, I feel like, and I think I could help in the process of that. That's number one. I think number two is everybody. Water is very, very important. The infrastructure from the water from the city, from the Twin Lakes out there, having solutions in case we get into a drought situation again. Without water, we can't grow residents, we can't grow businesses, we must worry about water constantly. I guess it'll be a worry for the rest of our lives and every life after that. So that's kind of an easy one, but we talk about water a lot. I have a lot to learn about water. I'm not a water expert. I've tried to listen in on meetings when I could about water. And then the third is, we've been working on this recreational sports park for 4 or 5 years, and I understand there's grants out there that if we don't get things moving, we could lose out on these grants. That's huge. We need to. That's my third concern, is the parks, and making good decisions and trying to move forward with the park, or the parks, and I don't think that it would be wrong to have 2 parks or 3 parks. I mean, we start somewhere. There's other opportunities may come up along the way. So I just think it's important to get it started, and it's time too. Those are my 3.
Thank you.
Then is there, Any particular one that you listed, or anything else that you know that is a topic that this commission deals with that you have a passion for, or that you would like to be involved in?
Well, I got to think about that question while I was sitting down. In the roads, you know, when people come into town, we need to impress them that we have nice roads. And I know we got the Kickapoo project coming up, but I got, you know, roads is Shawnee. Our buildings are Shawnee, and you know, I think roads is something that really needs to be worked on or looked after. Just the appearance, the landscaping that Tom Terry's done, he's done a great job. That needs to continue, the beautification. But I think the roads and the landscape, you know, would help people love Shawnee a little bit more.
Okay.
Well, just from the knowledge that I have, I know that at some point in time you left Shawnee for a short period of time, just like I did when we went away to college, and then ultimately you came back. So what do you see as your responsibility, if selected, to help us, and some of us who are born and raised here, you know, kind of like Frank, what do we have to do to keep people here and to keep our kids here so that we're all right here together when the holidays roll around?
Yeah, I don't want to say like the image, but I think it's kind of like the positive attitude. Let's have a positive attitude about Shawnee, and people, when if you say Edmond, they say, you know, they light up. Edmond, you know, oh, Edmond's great. Well, we need to work on that in Shawnee and say we live in Shawnee. We have to believe, you know, before we can. It's in our heart or whatever. But you know, I've lived here for 43. Take away a few or whatever. When I went to college and stuff. And you know, we have a lot to be proud of. We really do. Look at I-40. Look at the mall. I mean, it's booming. North Kickapoo, North Harrison will probably be booming one day, and we'll just be proud of what we have and keep trying to go after it.
And do you think your involvement with downtown Shawnee and what else? Maybe CVB is part of that pride and that that who we are to visitors, kind of an image that we have?
Right. I like marketing. I enjoy marketing. Sonic makes it easy to market, actually, because they do such a good job in Oklahoma City. But you're right, along the Main Street program with Rhonda White as the director. She does a really good job. Limited resources. Main Street's big. We need to continue working on Main. And the CVB, all the hotel stays that I think it's the gamblers that have really stayed in these hotels. Thank goodness for those guys. Keep coming back to Shawnee and staying at our hotels. But both of those have been my honor to serve on. I've met great people on all of those boards.
Okay. Any other questions?
My question's about the election and rerunning, because, you know, if a person gets started in here for a couple of years and has to turn around and doesn't rerun, then it's starting all over again. That's why I asked Chris. And like I said, Matthew's already put his name on the dotted line. I don't know whether, how do you feel about that?
That's kind of a tough question. If things stay the same in my family, and if citizens thought that I did a good job, then that would
Make it easier.
Spark it on. And I agree with whoever else said that once you're trained in a job, stay in the job. I mean, it takes years of knowledge to know what's going on in a city and in business and all these things. And turnover is not good for the commission. I don't see how it could be. I don't even know how long you can actually serve. But I would figure the more knowledgeable people stay on board, the better our city will be with the right people. With the right people. So.
And again, the budget question is, how comfortable are you with the responsibility of ensuring that our city stays financially sound and with the management and oversight of our $25 to $30 million budget.
I think it's just spending the right amount of time and asking questions. That's what we do at our office. We are sonic operators, and we do a lot of accounting. So I'm really familiar with paying sales tax, labor costs, food costs, expenses of moving buildings, or expenses of moving snow from driveways or fixing roofs or whatever. And we must stay within the guidelines of what's coming in and have a rainy day fund like our state has, because we need cash reserved for emergencies.
Yep. Anything else? Anything? Okay. Thanks, John.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Our turn. Again, I want to thank all the applicants for putting your name in the hat, as it were, and for coming here tonight and sharing your time with us. This is this is a little bit different. It's only 6 of us now that choose someone to sit in that seat, and
We have to choose one.
yeah. You want to give your seat up too? Yeah. And it's a huge responsibility that I know that we all feel, and whether we're conscious of it or not, part of our choice probably is who fits best in with us. What do we see as a need within ourselves? Where do we have some gaps, and who do we think will represent not only the Ward 5 citizens, but the city as a whole? So that is our responsibility. And let me say, and I think I've said it every time that I've been up here and had to go through this process, is just because you're not chosen tonight doesn't mean that you cannot run in an election and be elected. And I have said before that I've been in your spot right there, and I was not chosen, and it didn't stop me. So there you go. Does anybody have any other comments?
I say we got 3
Excellent.
real
Yeah.
excellent choices
Agree
here,
with that.
Absolutely.
and this is going to be a tough call. But I can tell you, all 3 of you, that I'd love to sit with all 3 of you, but it's not going to happen. And it's just no other way to put it but to thank you for putting your applications in. That's
We could do it
Right.
like the governor in Illinois, we could auction it off.
I think you got invited.
That comes under the part where we're not going to take
Yeah.
any compensation for the choices that we make.
That's the easy way to solve it.
Yeah. It'll solve it initially, huh?
Yeah. Like Commissioner Holt, I appreciate your time, and I know 2 of the guys real well, and I'm not acquainted with Matthew, but I was impressed with his presentation, so I certainly appreciate your efforts, all 3 of you. It's going to be a difficult decision for me.
Anything that you want to talk about? Anything before we actually talk about candidates, or anything on the floor? This isn't anything we can go into executive session about. I mean, everything has to be done out here.
What kind of procedure are we going to try to use, or how are we going to do it? What have you done in the past, I guess?
In the past, a motion has been made and seconded. Sometimes they pass, sometimes they fail. And it's mainly someone's first choice. We've done again where we go around and we just say who our first choice is, and then someone makes a motion if that's a majority. Can't say that any of those are any better than the other.
I'd be glad
What about
to make a
what
motion
we-
and just see where we go. I would echo the thoughts of those that have spoken tonight, that we've got three great candidates, and I certainly admire anyone who's willing to step up into public service, and Lord knows we need all the help we can get up here. I spent a lot of time going through not only the cover letters, but the resumes as well. And one really shone out to me, which was John Winteringer, with his service within the community, certainly with the CVB and other areas. So I would move that we appoint John Winteringer to fill the unexpired term, seat 5.
Second.
Okay. So we have a motion by Commissioner Sims and a second by Commissioner Holt. Do we have any other discussion? Would you like for me to talk some more while everybody thinks a little bit? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'd agree with Commissioner Sims. I think John has served the community, and like I said, it's a very difficult decision for me, but if that's, it's because of his work already with the different organizations, I'd let Carl second the motion, or I would have. And I don't want to hurt Chris's feelings or Matthew's feelings, but anyhow, John has worked in downtown Shawnee. I think he's worked with downtown Shawnee when I was on the commission before, so I stayed with it, so I appreciate it.
I think we're very fortunate, first of all, as a city, to have 3 people so highly qualified that want to serve. Because so many times we're having to seek out people, please help us. Please would you sit on this board? Please would you show up when you're supposed to? And so I think we're very fortunate to have 3 very qualified people, 3 very dedicated people. I don't think that we could go wrong with any of them. But I think that with the motion that's made and the second that's made, I think that, if we can strongly support and can feel confident in any of them, but with John, I think we can. Just the diversity of his experience in Shawnee and what he's done for Shawnee and his family has done for Shawnee. And of course, I'll be the first one to say, growing up next door to him here in Shawnee, we go way back. But I don't know, that could be good or bad, because we're both on North Oklahoma Street. So, but still, I think, I've known John a long time and have a lot of respect for him and for where he's come from, what he's been through, and what he's done with his family and is going to do for the community in the future. So I think that would be a good choice.
Mayor, I'd say you have probably 2 candidates for your mayor advisory.
Absolutely.
We've got another opening on a board that we really need to fill soon too. But you're exactly right. Okay, are we ready? Can I call the question? Okay. Call roll, please.
Sims,
Aye.
Holt,
Aye.
Stevens,
Aye.
Harrod,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Collier,
Aye.
motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you again.
And thank you, John, and thank you especially Chris and Matthew for your time, and we'll be calling you on other things.
Appreciate you.
Yes,
Putting yourself on the line.
yes, definitely. Would you like 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Please. Okay, well, let's have a 5-minute recess and come right back.
Where's Frank?
Frank, we need, Donna in the back. Get coffee.
Let's just say it's chilly. I was at the
Commissioner Sims?
I was at the Seminole Public Library this morning for some mediation, and they said they had not had heat there for 6 weeks, and it was freezing in there.
That name what?
At the Seminole Public Library, no heat for 6 weeks.
How come?
Ladies and gentlemen,
Spill coffee on this one.
it's freezing in here. It's thermometer.
John
Must have Panavan.
I neglected to call item number 6, which was discuss and consider. Are we okay? Okay, thank you very much. And then as far as I know, we will have the swearing in at the beginning of our next meeting and go from there, okay? Okay, so even though we did 6, we don't have to do it again. We will go on to item number 7. Public hearing and consider approval of rezoning property from A1 agricultural to R3 multifamily restricted for property located at 1900 West MacArthur. Case number P3808, applicant Tanner Consulting LLC. Public hearing is now open. So we'll start with the staff report.
Thank you. This particular case, the property in question is owned by St. Gregory's University, and the proposal before you this evening would essentially allow for expansion by rezoning the property from agricultural to R3, high-density residential, which would facilitate the construction of dormitories. Dormitory housing is listed as a permitted use in the R3 zoning district. The materials before you in the packet include a schematic of a proposal. You see that the plan for the site is a total of 8 residential dormitory buildings and then 1 centrally located community building. The site is just north of the existing developed campus of St. Gregory's University. The surrounding property is all owned by St. Gregory's as well, and the total rezone area is approximately 8.3 acres. Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval. We had no testimony in opposition at the public hearing before the Planning Commission. I did speak with the consultant for St. Gregory's, Tanner Consulting. They're based out of Tulsa, and due to the weather conditions, they're not here this evening. So hopefully I'll be able to answer any questions that you might have. Do you have any questions at this time?
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone wish to speak for this proposal? Anyone wish to speak against it? I'll close the public hearing. Entertain a motion.
So
Maybe
moved.
we adopt the application of property rezoning.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Harrod. Second by Vice Mayor Stevens. Any other discussion? Deep breath, John. Read. Ordinance.
An ordinance concerning zone classification of the following described property located in the corporate limits of the city of Shawnee, Oklahoma, to wit, tract of land lying in the northwest quarter and the northeast quarter of Section 2, Township 10 North, Range 3 East, and Union Meridian, Potawatomi County, Oklahoma, being more particularly described as follows. Commencing at the southwest corner of the southeast quarter of Section 2, thence north 89 degrees, 22 minutes, 56 seconds east along the south line of said southeast quarter, distance of 600.77 feet, thence north 0 degrees, 37 minutes, 4 seconds west, perpendicular said south line, distance of 50 feet, thence north 44 degrees, 26 minutes, 22 seconds east, distance of 35.39 feet, thence north 0 degrees, 30 minutes, 13 seconds west, distance of 1184.06 feet to a point of curvature, thence northerly and northeasterly, along a curve to the right, having a radius of 940 feet, friends at curve subtended by a chord which bears north 9 degrees, 53 minutes, 47 seconds east, distance of 339.37 feet, close paren and arc distance of 341.24 feet, that's north 20 degrees, 17 minutes, 47 seconds east, distance of 24.13 feet to a point of curvature, that's northerly and northwesterly along a curve to the left, having a radius of 25 feet, paren with curve subtended by a chord which bears north 26 degrees, 50 minutes, 26 seconds west. Distance of 36.65 feet, close to Brandon, arc distance of 41.13 feet. That's north 73 degrees, 58 minutes, 38 seconds west, distance of 9.24 feet to a point of curvature. That's northwesterly along a curve to the left, having a radius of 1,180 feet. Brandon said curve subtended by a cord, which bears north 82 degrees, 2 minutes, 34 seconds west. Distance of 331.12 feet, close to Brandon, arc distance of 332.22 feet. And south 89 degrees, 53 minutes, 30 seconds west. Distance of 337.13 feet. That's north 0 degrees, 6 minutes, 30 seconds west. Distance of 5 feet. And south 89 degrees, 53 minutes, 30 seconds west. Distance of 26.26 feet to a point of curvature. Thence westerly and northwesterly along a curve to the right, having a radius of 105 feet. Brand said curve subtended by a cord, which bears north 52 degrees, 44 minutes, 8 seconds west. Distance of 127.7 feet, 47 feet. Close Brand, arc distance of 136.98 feet. Thence north 15 degrees, 21 minutes, 45 seconds west. Distance of 465.81 feet to a point of curvature. Thence northerly along a curve to the right, having a radius of 115 feet. Brand said curve subtended by a cord, which goes north 7 degrees, 17 minutes, 40 seconds west. Distance of 32.28 feet, close Brand. An arc distance of 32.39 feet. It's north 0 degrees, 46 minutes, 25 seconds east. Distance of 318.18 feet to a point of curvature. It's northerly and northeasterly along a curve to the right, having a radius of 90 feet. Brand said curve subtended by a cord, which bears north 38 degrees, 37 minutes, 28 seconds east. A distance of 110.45 feet, close Brand. An arc distance of 118.91 feet. And south 89 degrees, 59 minutes, 19 seconds east. A distance of 100.7 feet to the point of beginning. Said point being 11.44 feet, north 0 degrees, 33 minutes, 1 second west. And 64.84 feet north, 89 degrees, 59 minutes, 19 seconds west of the southeast corner of the northwest quarter of said section 2. Then north 0 degrees, 22 minutes, 40 seconds west. Distance of 66.86 feet to a point of curvature. Then it's northeasterly along a curve to a right, having a radius of 244.5 feet. Brandon said curve subtended by a cord, which bears north 12 degrees, 16 minutes, 8 seconds east. Distance of 107.06 feet, close to Brandon, arc distance of 107.93 feet. It's north 24 degrees, 54 minutes, 56 seconds east. Distance of 59.96 feet to a point of curvature. Then it's northeasterly along a curve to the left, having a radius of 155.5 feet. Brand said curve subtended by a cord, which bears north 12 degrees, 10 minutes, 57 seconds east. Distance of 68.55 feet. Close Brand, arc distance of 69.11 feet to a point of a common line between the east line of the northwest quarter and the west line of the northeast quarter of said section 2. And it's north 0 degrees, 33 minutes, 1 second west along said common line, distance of 173.68 feet. It's north 89 degrees, 37 minutes, 20 seconds east, distance of 741.56 feet. And south 0 degrees, 22 minutes, 40 seconds east, a distance of 471.58 feet to a point on the north line of a private access easement. It's north 89 degrees, 59 minutes, 19 seconds west along said north line, distance of 805.02 feet to the point of beginning. Potawatomi County, Oklahoma, rezoning said property from A1 Agricultural District to R3, multifamily residential district, and beneficial zone, map city, Shawnee, Portland.
I've been on top of that page, I think.
What's the places that street addresses?
How would you
Call-
like to find that location?
Yeah.
All right, I changed one number. Which one was it?
Call roll, please. Quick.
Harrod.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Sims.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Collier.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carried. Thank you. Item 8, public hearing and consider approval of rezoning property from C1 Neighborhood Commercial and C3 Commercial Automotive and Recreation to C3 Commercial Automotive and Recreation for property located at 1414 North Harrison. Case number P3908, applicant Shawnee RE LLC. Public hearing is now open. We'll start with the staff report.
Thank you. I'm going to combine my reports here just to make things a little bit more simple.
Okay.
So action items number 8, 9, and 10 are all on the same subject property. And there are 2 staff reports in your packets. The plating, there's a staff report that deals with the rezoning action, and then 1 staff report that deals with both the preliminary and final plat. And so collectively, these occupy pages 50 through 72 in your packet. The subject property is rather unique in that it's currently split zoned, and so what you have in what you see on your packet there on page 54 is that a portion of the property is zone C3, the northern portion, the southern portion, southern extent is zone C3 as well, and then you have an area in between in the lower 1/3 that is zoned C1. This is unusual. It is the site of the former Taco Bell site. You can see the surrounding zoning is C3. Restaurants not serving alcohol are permitted uses in the C3 zone, and in the C1 zone they actually require a conditional use permit, and there's no conditional use permit on file for the old Taco Bell site, so I'm not historically sure how that was permitted, but obviously there's some cleanup that is needed in this particular area. The site is proposed to be redeveloped, and the existing structure will be torn down, and a new restaurant will be constructed in its place. And so staff and the Planning Commission does recommend rezoning from C1 to C3, that portion that is currently zone C1. Further, the C1 zone is a neighborhood commercial zoning designation. This is, of course, is a major commercial corridor through the city, and so C3 is believed to be the most appropriate zoning. Jumping ship a little bit here regarding the platting. Yes, sir.
What about the rest of that property that's zone C1, the back behind it? Is that where
that's actually
UPS is located? Isn't that where UPS is located behind there?
I believe it is. It's actually separate ownership, and so they are not a party of the rezone. Yeah. So, but I think your point is well taken. It's probably not appropriately zoned either. There's some areas there that definitely need to be looked at. And so one of the challenges that staff has is that we get so many applicant-driven requests in that there is a process that the city can go out and more proactively identify areas such as this that aren't zoned properly, and then engage in the rezoning legislatively. But we're just not at that point currently.
Okay, thank you.
Regarding these agenda items number 9 and number 10, the preliminary and final plat. This site is obviously built out. It's existing. Utilities are in place, and essentially what the plat accomplishes is just a single lot plat. It renames the current plat from Taco Bell that was done as part of the previous development, and provides it with the name Harrison Ridge, which is something that the new business owners wanted to do. It also there was also a transaction that was made to with the property owner to the south, where this property was given an additional 30 feet, and that formalizes that action as part of the plat. And it also provides a mechanism for the dedication of additional right-of-way that the city needs for any future road work that is done there. So that is the reason for the platting. And although we typically see a preliminary plat come in and then a final plat separately, these are being done simultaneously because there are no public improvements that are being done. And so we can do this in an expedited fashion, and hopefully get them building here shortly. Are there any questions on either the rezone or the platting at this time?
You say they are going to tear the building down?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you. All right, anyone wishing to speak for this item? Anyone wishing to speak against it? All right, I'll close the public hearing and consider a motion.
Question here, 8, 9, and 10 has to be voted on separately, is that correct?
That's correct.
And I make a motion that P 3908 be approved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Holt and a second by Commissioner Sims to approve the rezoning. Any other discussion? Read the ordinance, please.
An ordinance concerning zone classification of following described property located in the corporate limits of the city of Shawnee, Oklahoma, to wit: north 215 feet of the east 200 feet of lot 2, the 8th edition of the city of Shawnee, Potawatomi County, Oklahoma, according to the recorded plat thereof, being more particularly described as follows: beginning at the northeast corner of said lot 2, within south 88 degrees 19 minutes 40 seconds west on the north line of said lot 2, a distance of 200 feet. Then south and parallel to the east line of said lot 2, a distance of 215 feet, thence north 88 degrees 19 minutes 40 seconds east and parallel to the north line of said lot 2, a distance of 200 feet, to the point of the east line of lot 2, a distance of 215 feet to the point of beginning. Track 2, lot 1, block 1, Taco Bell 1, to replat part of blocks 2 and 3, Yates Addition, the city of Shawnee, plot of Waterman County, Oklahoma, according to the recorded plat thereof. Zoning said property from C1 neighborhood commercial and C3 automotive commercial and recreation to C3 automotive commercial and recreation, and then official zoning map, city of Shawnee, accordingly.
Thank you. Call roll, please.
Holt,
Aye.
Sims,
Aye.
Harrod,
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Collier.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 9, consider approval of preliminary plat for Harrison Ridge Addition located at 1414 North Harrison, case number S30-08, applicant Shawnee RE LLC.
So moved.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Harrod,
Second.
and a second by Commissioner Sims. Any additional discussion? Call roll, please.
Harrod,
Aye.
Sims.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Collier.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 10, consider approval of final plat for Harrison Ridge Addition located at 1414 North Harrison, case number S3108, applicant Shawnee RE LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Harrod and a second by Commissioner Sims. Any additional discussion? Call roll, please.
Harrod.
Aye.
Sims.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Collier.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 11, public hearing and consider approval of rezoning property from A1 agricultural and R1 residential to R1 residential for property located at 1804 North Elm, case number P40-08, applicant John Barrett. Public hearing is now open. We need a staff report.
Yes, thank you. Case number P40-08 concerns a rezone request from A1 agricultural to R1 single-family residential. This is another somewhat unique property based on the existing development that is there, as well as the fact that it is also split zoned with a small segment in the middle zoned R1, and then properties to the north and south zoned A1. Just another unique history that I really wasn't able to get a lot of conclusion on. There are several residences on the site. It consists of, I believe 3 separate parcels of property at this time. And it is zoned agricultural, which requires 1 house per 5 acres, and yet you have approximately 3 houses there on about 5.2 acres. So you've got another situation here where you've got a non-conforming site. So it's staff's opinion, and as indicated by the recommendation from the Planning Commission, that a rezone is appropriate for a number of reasons. Number 1, it's not appropriately zoned now because of the existing residential densities. Furthermore, the A1 agricultural zone is really designed to be a holding zone and utilized on those large properties where somebody can continue to engage in agricultural activity that isn't appropriate for a more urban environment until such time as denser development can occur, until utilities are in place, etc. In this case, surrounding the property, you have urban utilities readily available, although they will need to be extended. Also to the east and northeast and northwest, you have residential subdivisions and similar zoning in terms of R1 classifications. So because of these reasons, and also because of the comprehensive plan designation, which shows the site as residential and not agricultural, staff finds it appropriate to rezone the property to R1. We did receive one letter in this regard. We also had a little bit of testimony when this came before the Planning Commission. There was some concern as expressed in the letter and as expressed by some of the testimony received at the hearing before the Planning Commission concerning what would be built here in terms of what the R1 zoning allows. And as I stated in the hearing, and I'll state again this evening before you, the R1 zoning just allows for single-family detached residences. It does not allow for duplexes or triplexes or apartment complexes, and those were some of the concerns that were expressed. So it's staff's understanding that the applicant intends to construct just standard residential single-family housing that you find for sale in your typical new subdivisions found throughout the city.
And
At that,
go
Sorry. At that meeting, if I remember right, Mr. Barrett, the question came up, the type of housing that was going to be put there, and he made it pretty clear that he lives there and he wouldn't put anything there that did not match what he was living in there.
Yes, Mr. Barrett, who is the applicant, actually does live in a home that occupies one of the properties here, and he does intend to stay here. And because of the configuration of the property, we're talking about the rezone now, but the next agenda item, and I'll have a separate report for that, talks about the plat, and you'll see that there's some relatively large lot sizes there as well. And so I know that on some of those larger lots, his plan is to build more of a custom style home on those larger lots.
Well, it's important to have that. It was nice to have that with this when we consider the rezoning, just because of the one letter that we received.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions of staff? Okay. Anyone wish to speak for this item? Anyone wish to speak against it? Okay. We'll close the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion or discussion.
So moved.
All right. Motion by Commissioner Sims and a second by Vice Mayor Stevens. Any other discussion? Read the ordinance, please.
An ordinance concerning zoning classification of the following described property located in the corporate limits of the city of Shawnee, Oklahoma, 2 at the east 330 feet of lot 9 and the north 90 feet of the east 330 feet of lot 10, Bradley's addition to the city of Shawnee, Potawatomi County, Oklahoma. And beginning at the southeast corner of block 10, thence north 220 feet, thence west 310 feet, then south 220 feet, thence east 310 feet from point of beginning, Bradley's addition to the city of Shawnee, Potawatomi County, Oklahoma, and commencing at the northwest corner of lot 9, thence east 135 feet to a point of beginning, thence east 155 feet, then south 185 feet, thence west 155 feet, thence north 185 feet, point of beginning, Bradley's addition to the city of Shawnee, Potawatomi County, Oklahoma, rezoning said property from A1 agricultural and R1 residential to R1 residential and amending the official zoning map of the city of Shawnee accordingly.
Call roll, please.
Sims.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Harrod.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Collier.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 12. Consider approval of preliminary plat for Jackson's First Edition located at 1804 North Elm, case number S2908. Applicant John Barrett.
I'll be brief since we already know many of the particulars from the last agenda item. But the plat before you is associated with the same subject property. And now that it has been rezoned, we can look at the plat in light of the R1 zoning standards. And staff has reviewed the plat and finds it in conformance with those standards. The proposed plat would consist of 12 lots on 5.2 acres. Lot sizes range from approximately 9,000 square feet to over an acre, and the minimum lot size in the R1 zone is 6,000 square feet. So you can see that they're considerably larger than the minimum lot size requirement. The Planning Commission recommended approval, subject to 6 conditions, which are outlined on page 89, and pretty standard conditions that we will review for conformance as the applicant comes in with final plat, and then ultimately to record the final plat.
Okay.
Are there any questions?
And the 6 conditions are on, I have 92.
There's 5 on that one.
For 89.
89, yes.
89 has 6.
Yeah, there was a couple of errors in the staff report initially and some modification that was made, so please refer to the conditions on page 89.
Okay. Got it.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Any discussion or motion?
I move we adopt with the staff's recommendation.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Harrod
Second.
to accept with the 6 conditions, and a second by Commissioner Sims. Any other discussion? Call roll, please.
Harrod.
Aye.
Sims.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Collier.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 12. That's what we just did. Item number 13. Consider approval of preliminary plat for Seahorn Commercial Plaza located in the 2250 block of North Harrison, case number 2708, applicant Mark Seahorn. Okay.
guy tonight, aren't
I guess I'm, yes.
Yep.
Case S2708 concerns a rezoning, not a rezoning request. We're done with that. This is a preliminary plat, consideration of preliminary plats for Seahorn Commercial Plaza. It is, we've just got some unique properties this evening that we've discussed, and this is no exception. The western extent of the property is zoned commercially and is proposed for 3 lots, and the eastern extent is a residential designation, agricultural designation A1, and is proposed for potential future residential development, although it's my understanding from the applicant that that is a distant phase, and that the more immediate plans are for commercial development fronting Harrison. And so, again, you would have 3 commercial lots, zone C1 on commercial, and then the remaining lot of A1 agricultural property. You'll notice on the site plan on 102, page 102, there's a very large stormwater detention facility that is proposed. We are continuing to review the engineering plans for that facility, but I just wanted to point it out because I know that stormwater is an important issue, and particularly in this area. And of course, Northridge is just there to the east, and so I do want to just let you know this evening that we are taking particular concern and due diligence on the stormwater aspect of this, and it's my understanding that that as designed by the applicant and the applicant's engineer, that this facility is designed to alleviate some of those flooding concerns that they've had in the past, and we haven't substantiated that yet. City engineer is continuing to evaluate the engineering plans, but that's something that we are definitely have concern over. One of the required conditions that we've set forth requires that the common area and drainage easement, which is that stormwater pond, be constructed initially as part of the development, as part of the first phase of the development, to ensure that any of those commercial properties and that very first phase of development is covered by that facility.
So even though that says phase 2, that will be done in phase 1?
It's already done.
That's correct. Yes.
Drive by there, it's already done.
Yeah.
Well, we've had some development that's happened that has had an impact on neighboring residential, and this, if not done properly, should have the same kind of effect.
Yes.
Also, so.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you saying, John, is that not the what is built out there is not now is not the retaining pond or whatever it is?
It's earthworks where it's going to be.
Yeah, they're building pads up.
Okay.
There was also one minor deviation from the subdivision standards that I just wanted to point out. There was a driveway spacing issue on some of their planned future driveways where there's a code requirement of 175 feet, and the maximum that they could provide was 159 feet. Planning Commission reviewed this, staff reviewed it, and has no objection to the granting of that relatively minor deviation. So that's encompassed within the conditions. Are there any questions? And I would point out as well that this is on both the previous plat that we discussed and this one. Before you was just a preliminary, and so there's an additional step here where we will review the project as part of final plat, and that will obviously also come to you for approval. So this is just the first stage.
I move we approve case S27-08 with the staff.
5 recommendations.
Yes,
Okay.
recommendations.
Motion made by Commissioner Sims.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Collier. Call roll, please.
Sims.
Aye.
Collier.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Harrod.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 14, discuss and consider an amendment to the 1990 water contract involving the City of Shawnee, City of Tecumseh, and Pottawatomie County Development Authority. On our pages, number 103 is when it starts. And I believe this commission approved this contract with one revision last time. And actually that was the section on 104 that has the lines through it at the bottom. And some new language has been inserted in that section so that the intent was for Tecumseh to be allowed to access the raw water line from West Watkins to tap into it. So instead of just taking out language, other language was put in to clarify that. Is that correct, John?
Right.
So that the intent of allowing Tecumseh to tap in to the raw water line from West Watkins is still there. So this is that language.
Right. As far as I can tell, the only difference from the amendment that was approved by this commission, both changes are on page 104.
Mm-hmm.
And both of them, at the top of page 104 and the first bottom of page 104, and they're just a reflection of PCDA's desire to let everyone understand that they have some control of the water line as it goes from the reservoir to the vault.
Yes.
It's not just solely Tecumseh and Shawnee.
The addition of PCDA at the
Right.
top too.
That's
right. That's right.
That's the only change from what we agreed.
And the PCDA did approve this contract as we have it with these revisions last week, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Okay. And we have in the audience John Collier and Linda Prater to answer any questions too, but I guess or after our action, then it will be on Tecumseh's agenda also to approve this.
Well, actually, all they added was the PCDA, huh? So it says Shawnee grants to Tecumseh, or Shawnee and PCDA grants to Tecumseh.
They added some clarification language in there for the actual intent to the line. It's gone back and forth numerous times, huh, John?
So do you think this is gonna be it?
Or either the title will have to say 2009 Amendment
Yeah.
to 1990 Agreement.
Well, I would move that we accept this amendment and approve it.
Okay, a motion by Vice Mayor Stevens,
Second.
second by, any choice? Commissioner Holt. Any other discussion? Call roll, please.
Stevens?
Aye.
Holt?
Aye.
Sims?
Aye.
Harrod?
Aye.
Peterson?
Aye.
Collier?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Okay. Item number 15, committee report on city manager application review with commission discussion and possible action related to said report.
Well,
This belongs to the three of y'all.
the committee has been able to narrow the pool down to 2 applicants that we feel are qualified for the position, and 2 applicants that continue to be interested in coming to the city of Shawnee. And what we would like to do is on this Thursday conduct interviews wherein we would split up in 2 groups and hold just some informal time with them. One group would do breakfast with one candidate while the other group did breakfast with another candidate. Switch groups, take the candidates on a tour just to kind of talk to them, be a little informal. Have the candidates do lunch separately with the management team, not necessarily as an interview type session, but just kind of as a meet and greet, get to know the candidates, and then have a special call meeting Thursday afternoon to conduct formal interviews. I believe we've all been served with the special call agenda. Kelly Howard and Phyllis have worked really hard on setting up a schedule for us for Thursday and making the arrangements to get the candidates here. Both candidates are still very interested in coming here and not only meeting with us, but the possibility of possibly being offered the job. What we've envisioned on the agenda for Thursday afternoon is for us to call the meeting into session, interview the candidates, and what was done, I believe, on the candidates to decide who was the first or the second in order was, I think they flipped a coin. Did you do it alphabetically? We talked about, okay, how do we split this up? But then with the possibility that if we want to make a motion and vote to go into executive session to discuss how to handle this further, that we as a group could do so. We would split up in groups, and if we make a motion and we approve to go forward, what I would do in the morning is forward to everyone essentially a schedule and the groups, and kind of what we had talked about was I'll lead one group, Mr. Harrod will lead another group, we'll split us all up, so we're 3 and 3, we don't have a quorum. We'd let HR and the interim city manager go with us if we wanted, if everyone's agreeable to that, and we'll just meet with them informally, have a meeting, interview them, see where we go.
Okay.
I think we have a good group of people.
How can we get commissioner-elect or
Yeah.
commissioner appointed?
Well, and that was something that I was going to
Whenever
bring up too, was I believe we would be okay having John go with one of the groups. I don't believe he would be able to vote, but he could participate in the breakfast and the tour, and of course be available for the meeting. I don't believe he could go into executive session with us, and certainly not vote with us, but very similar to what Commissioner Harrod did when we first started this process. So of course we would invite you to come and do that with us very early Thursday morning, if in fact, we decide we want to do that. And I think the management team's kind of been briefed a little bit on this and is comfortable. I think this is kind of a different way of doing things, but it's very similar to what we did with SCDF, and I think it worked really well to meet with the people informally to where they're not quite, on show or on stage or whatever. So I guess, do we have to have a motion to do all this stuff since we've already called the special call meeting? What do we have to do now?
Special call meeting is sufficient. The informal process you've already described is, you got to get a formal motion for that.
Okay, so it's just a matter then of, now what about providing the resumes to the commissioners so that they're familiar with the resumes ahead of time? How do we do that, or can we? What do we do?
No, you can certainly do that. Staff could just put those in your box and spit things out however you want to do that.
They're already in there? Okay, they're already in there. Okay. Then first thing in the morning, everyone will get an email.
Wendy was talk about contract conditions and so forth, John.
Anytime during this process, you could be bringing up different various aspects of the contract, but certainly in the exec session, we would be talking about it. I'm a little concerned about you talking about it with them during the informal sessions that you'd be having, because they may start the negotiating process with 3 of you in the morning, then continue it with 3 of you in the afternoon.
Okay.
Which could lead to a consensus, which you've got to be very concerned about it.
Okay.
That's one thing I want to warn you about is that it's funny how things happen. It's just human nature, but you'll be talking with these people. They'll talk to 3 of you in the morning. In the afternoon, they'll start talking to the other 3 of you, and remember, they're interviewing you also. And so they may get you to commit, don't fall in the trap of committing to something, because then you've gone ahead and voted outside of an open meeting.
Right.
There's a hundred ways you can fall into that trap, so be very careful about that. But certainly during the exec session, certainly during the open meeting interview you're going to have, you can sit there and say, what's your bottom dollar? I mean, that kind of question or something. I don't think they'd be surprised by that.
Wow.
Or what they
Okay.
would have to have, or what they would consider
Sure.
appropriate. We can
What
talk
I'm
about that.
concerned about is I'm not interested in a contract that's gonna pay them off for not doing a good job. I want a contract that they get a reward for doing a good job, an incentive at the end of a year or 6 months or whatever else. I don't wanna have to come up here 6 months later and buy a contract and for, 4 or 5 months pay. I want them to know up front that they're gonna be paid an incentive on doing a good job, not on doing a bad job.
Well, as you're sitting here right now, you haven't committed to a single contract provision, so
Okay.
you can do it however you want.
And is that something that, if we go into executive session and we decide to come up and authorize you to begin contract negotiations, we can instruct you on the provisions of a contract that we as a commission would accept? How do we do
Sure.
that?
Sure.
Yeah, then how do
I mean, if we get a
how do you
feeling-
come back and us,
Yeah, how do we, if we get a feeling like that we know a ballpark figure concerning a salary, and we also know, and I think we all agree with this, we're not gonna pay someone to do a bad job. If you do a good job, great, and we'll reward you accordingly, but we don't want to And so if we want, when do we tell you those provisions of a contract that we're willing to settle? Do we do that during the executive session? Do we do that up here?
Well, obviously, I think under the act, you would do that. We discuss it in exec session, but you would do it up here.
Okay.
Ultimately, any formal decision you make is done up here. You know, it's the whole hiring process. We can discuss that on the two individuals in the executive session, but any decision that's made will be done out here.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think we all just we need to start thinking about what we would like to have in a contract and just where we all think we are. I guess that's all we have to do on this one.
Since this is going to start in the middle of the night, like 7 o'clock in the morning.
I'll call you and wake you up.
I do that.
Is it going to be pretty well decided, you know, where we're going to have breakfast, et cetera, throughout
Yes.
the day?
Yes, everything should be by tomorrow when I send out an email. It should be very clear as to who the groups are, what time, where breakfast will be, where the candidates are staying as far as hotels. I mean, I think that the HR department and Phyllis have really laid out a good schedule from what I saw and was told about, but we'll hash it out first thing in the morning.
So are the candidates' names public now? If we decide, or are they public?
They are, I
They're on
believe
the
it's on the
agenda.
agenda for the special session.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
do y'all want to know who they are? This was Gary Dumas and Brian McDougal.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay.
So it's on here.
Okay.
Yeah, Gary Dumas and Brian McDougal from Arkansas and Georgia.
Okay. Okay. So, tomorrow you will be, well, basically, I guess we're all, are we all available on Thursday from 7 o'clock in the morning? Whoa. Till, I'm telling you, I have a deadline in the evening, but.
Well, and that's why when I
thought
looked
the
at
mayor's
the,
cooking breakfast.
when we.
No, I did not commit
Yeah.
to that.
Well, when we had talked about the meeting, is if we start the meeting at 1:15, we could start interviewing at 1:30. If we did
2:30.
an hour to an hour and a half on
Yeah.
each interview, we'll be out of here at a reasonable time. And I think we all have, because of the holidays, I know I also have a commitment Thursday evening. Right, and we'll have some time in
I
executive
promise not to
session.
keep them over 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
thank you.
So I think we're all ready for it, and zip it out so we'll know. Okay, very good. Ready to move to item 16, consider bids. A, remodel Shawnee Public Library story time room and children's restroom. Did you get that?
Yeah, I believe I passed those out to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the remodel, we received one bid. The bid is for $37,860.
Okay.
Staff would like to defer this to the next meeting.
All right, do I have a motion?
So I move.
Motion by Commissioner Harrod,
Second.
second by Commissioner Collier. Call roll, please.
Harrod,
Aye.
Collier,
Aye.
Holt,
Aye.
Stevens,
Aye.
Sims,
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We haven't done this in a while.
Defer to when? Next?
The next meeting.
Next meeting. Okay.
Okay, item B, supply and install carpet in main public area in the Shawnee Public Library.
We received one bid on this also.
Okay?
It was for Floor Code Design Center for $58,988. We had two alternate bids set in there. There wasn't any carpet or tile designated for the storage area. So the first alternate for tile in the new storage area, would be $599, and for carpet in there would be $1,199. This is added to the $58,988.
Okay,
We sent out.
Those are add alternates, okay.
yeah.
We sent out to 6 vendors on this, plus posted it in the paper. I had at the meeting, there was 3 companies come to my pre-bid meeting that got everything on it. So
Okay. All right. Do you need a motion to defer? or are you
yeah,
ready
staff
to-
would like to defer this to the next commission meeting.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Harrod.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Collier. Call roll, please.
Harrod.
Aye.
Collier.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Sims.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 17, new business. Item 18, administrative reports. No. Wow. 19, commissioners' comments. Frank, you gonna tell us about DEQ?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I had the opportunity to participate in Ozone 08, setting boundaries for non-attainment. And basically, the EPA has set some new air quality standards for ground level ozone. And the area for non-attainment is beyond the Oklahoma City MSA and is now involving a core-based statistical area, which is the CBSA, which would include Pottawatomie County. I would like to have a resolution placed on the special meeting agenda for us to consider urging the DEQ to keep us out of the non-attainment area. I'll try to go into some depth if anybody has a question about that, but the bottom line is the issue is in Oklahoma City or the Oklahoma City MSA, and the new standards lower the amount of particulate that's emitted, and they're trying to bring in Pottawatomie County. We have Exxon Mobil and also Wolverine that do have some particulate matter that is dispersed into the air. We have no testing areas in Pot County, and to my knowledge, they don't exceed those levels to be included in the non-attainment area. If we are determined to be in a non-attainment area, it will have a devastating effect on economic development and potential industries that might move to our community. So if you're going to ask a question, Carl, don't make it hard.
Not asking a question, but why the urgency in the executive session?
Well, it wouldn't be executive session. It would just be the special meeting.
Special call.
It's taken a while to prepare the document, the letter that would be sent to DEQ, as well as to get a copy of a resolution that's been passed in some other states relative to non-attainment. Our meeting with DEQ was on December 3rd, and there wasn't time to get it on this agenda. And then the deadline is the 19th of December to have our first information back to DEQ. Ultimately, the governor will make the decision on the attainment area, so hopefully we have a little help there too.
Okay, thank you.
And quite frankly, he asked me, the first attachment, I guess, that you have is a letter that could come from me requesting it. And I just thought that since we had a special call meeting that was on Thursday, it would have more impact if it came from the entire commission and it was supported by a resolution, instead of just the signature of the mayor without the formal approval of this body, quite frankly. So anytime I sign something, I'd like for everybody to know about it and to approve it. So
Okay,
that's
I
part
just
of
hadn't
that.
had time to read this thing over, but that's good explanation. Thank you.
And
Thank
we
you,
try to
Carl.
have the explanation tonight too, so that we don't have to go through this on Thursday at 1:15. How about that?
It's already been placed on the agenda.
It's there.
Yes, it's on here,
Yeah.
as well as the attachment.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Any other commissioners' comments?
I wasn't able to make the agenda meeting Wednesday, and haven't had a chance to talk to John about the election deal. I thought maybe there might be some other commissioners that might be interested in what you had to say about the election and changing the dates and all that kind of business.
About our regularly scheduled,
Right,
about the
sure.
fact that we've changed our election schedule for the
Well, now we
commission
have
to
the-
June. We're on the state schedule,
Yeah.
and our runoff now has to be in November instead of 6 weeks after, because our charter requires 6 weeks instead of the 4 weeks on
The
the.
state stat, now, the reason we had to, we were set up to be on the primary and the runoff. We had to move it because state statute says you had to have 35 days between elections. There's never 35 days between the primary and the runoff. It's usually about 4 weeks.
Is that the
That's our
city
charter, though,
statute
isn't
or
it?
No,
the?
no, that's state statute.
Oh,
And the state statutes on elections, the state statute controls even over the charter. So,
okay.
I've talked to the election board about that, and she's, I can't speak for her right at the moment, but we're gonna just see if there's a situation here where she could, since we usually have so few candidates, races that we're dealing with, half the commission usually, that she may not feel like she's got that big a squeeze on getting those ballots done. And she may be able to tell us that she can do that from now on. That's the way our charter presently reads right now, is the primary and the runoff. We haven't changed it yet because the rules keep changing every election cycle. You know, every time we want to change the charter, it requires an election.
Yeah.
So we hold off doing that. So I'm going to deal straight with the election board on that and see if they'd be willing to go ahead and let us do that if we can.
Well, the problem is, I was elected in July and didn't take office until in November, till after the general election, and that's 4 or 5.
Well, I understand that. Of course, you bring that up with the election board, they sit there and say, well, all county and state officers do the same thing, so.
I mean, the primary, and then there's that we're not, can't have our runoff in when the county has their
Let
runoff.
me tell you about a 3-month runoff schedule.
And I second that.
I
And,
mean, under the law now, we can go back to the March, April if you want. That'll catch your turn by 6 months. We can do that.
I mean, how can we do that?
It's a specific statute sets it out now where that's the one period of time where they have the 35 days between the elections.
Because other municipalities have not necessarily gone to the same election schedule that we went to. They are still held in the springtime.
Right. Now, towns can do that. Cities and everything, they were directed by election board to go with the state cycle. But we can go back to March, April now if you want. Because the election's the first Tuesday in March, is the last Tuesday in April.
In
So you have
April.
35 days. You end up paying for the entire ballot. You save money by hopping on the state elections because you're sharing the expenses of all the precinct workers and everybody else at the other offices. That was another main reason why the change was made, was because it saved you a bunch of money just in the paying for the ballots basically. If you want to consider that, which again would cut your terms by 6 months, but in this next cycle. But I'm discussing right now, or getting ready to, and I've already approached the subject with one of the election board secretaries, seeing if they go ahead, since it's so few ballots we're usually dealing with, if they would go ahead and just waive that 35-day objection, see if they'd let us go ahead and just do the runoff and primary elections.
What, does the election board have the authority to waive that, or?
Well, it's for their benefit. It was to stop them from having to race out there and get this all set up and everything like that. And so in my judgment, I think they can. You can't make them, but I think they can. Now, they have to print ballots anyway for people for the statewide elections and the countywide elections, the runoff for the primary. So the question comes down to, will it be that big, much more of a burden for the city to do the same thing? You print some ballots for us, and that's where we're at. We'll see.
Well, the reason I bring it up, because the legislative session's fixing to start. If we need to make amendments to the election laws, then we need to do it now.
The only amendment you'd want to make would be that 35 days.
Right.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, the state election board fought for that. I don't know if you're going to get that one changed or not.
I mean, if then they could put a sentence in there that if we're a city in conflict, couldn't they? Then the state takes does the 35 days meet our charter?
No, 35 days is a specific state statute. It says you have to have 35 days between elections, for all elections.
And the state doesn't even have it between the
the
primary
state
and
does
the
not,
runoff?
Right, it doesn't require it for the primary and the runoff.
Oh, it doesn't
But
require
it
it.
says specifically for municipal and towns, you have to do that.
Okay, okay.
municipalities and towns.
But I mean, is that a possibility, or when we gonna know? I don't wanna rock along here till next election in
Oh,
2
no, no,
years.
we'll know here. Diana and I'll sit down and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about that here pretty quick. And she understands your frustration. And
Well,
she-
they had to print special ballots for us anyway.
Right, I mean, it turned out to be more headache for the election board than it would have been otherwise.
That's
because
right.
the way- When we got into the general election, all of a sudden their machines weren't what they needed for us. Of course, they're supposed to be getting new machines to solve that problem by the next election cycle, but, you know, yeah.
What does an election cost if we did it, going back to the March, April election?
I don't know. I have no idea.
It's a full
I can
election.
find out for you, I just don't know.
Yeah.
It'll be whatever the precinct workers cost, and,
Right.
but I'm sure Diane has that.
Okay.
Did we pay for the extra precinct workers this last time because of the way our ballot was? Because there was the fourth
Yes, we
one,
did.
so that was our
That
cost.
second time around was our cost, yes.
Okay, the extra ballots and the precinct workers.
How much was that, do you remember, neighbor?
Have we gotten that yet? Okay, okay. So the intent was to piggyback on another election, but it ended up
But
that,
because the machinery, it ended up defeating the purpose of the second
that's,
election.
yeah, that's right.
I mean, I'm not, the expense is not, I mean, we've like, you know, a primary, 1.5 or 5 month primary, that's between the runoff and the election, that's too, as far as I'm concerned, that's way too long.
I agree with you, but of course, again, the county officers and state officers that went to the primary level, they wait till January. The treasurer waits the following July 1st, so. I'd, Dave Meidel up in Lincoln County, I thought he was gonna beat my door down, he had to wait 11.5 months to get sworn in. He won a July primary, and doesn't get sworn in at the end of the fiscal year, which is the following June 30th.
Whoa. Whoa.
So,
Okay.
but anyway,
Okay.
there's many things we can talk about on that, and see if we can get some changes made, and I'll keep you all posted on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Our last kind of formal meeting, so Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy New Year, and back on a regular schedule in January with the new commissioner appointed at that time too. Okay.
Move to adjourn.
Motion by Commissioner Sims.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Collier. Call roll, please.
Sims,
Aye.
Collier.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Harrod.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you. We will now open up the Shawnee Municipal Authority meeting. We have a quorum. Item number 3, consider approval of consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Holt, second by Commissioner Harrod. Call roll, please. Is that right?
Holt.
Aye.
Harrod.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Collier.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Sims.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Administrative reports? New business? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Harrod.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Collier. Call roll, please.
Harrod.
Aye.
Collier.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Sims.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carried. Thank you. We'll now open up the Shawnee Airport Authority, December 15th, 2008. We have a quorum. Consider approval of consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Holt and a second by Commissioner Harrod. Call roll, please.
Holt.
Aye.
Harrod.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Collier.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Sims.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carried. Thank you. Administrative reports. New business. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Holt,
Second.
second by Commissioner Collier. Call roll, please.
Aye.
Collier.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Sims.
Aye.
Harrod.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. We are adjourned.
And I don't.